start if everyone's ready.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam President, members of the board, we are now live on YouTube stream.
Thank you, Karen. Maria?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So roll call will now be taken. President Pamela Smith,
Present.
Mary Ann Hess,
Present.
Lisa Garcia,
Here.
Sherry Pierce,
I'm here. I can't find my things.
Hey, Sherry.
Susan Hage,
Here.
Kathy Montejo,
Here.
Travis Morris,
Here.
Diane Flugfelder,
She's traveling.
Lee Frazier,
Here.
Not here. I told him I'm here, so.
Tori Frank,
Here.
Phyllis McGraw,
Here.
Angela Richburg,
Here.
Angela Marshall, Carrie Mugford,
Here.
Gloria Christensen,
Here.
Marita Rudy,
I unplugged it. It must have
She's
come
not
out
able
that
to
way.
join us.
Janet Gray,
At least in that
Uh,
camera.
Jan- Janet's having mic trouble.
Yeah, now let's see if her mic's working.
Celine Hurtado.
Here.
I'm sorry, Celine Hurtado,
Here.
We have to leave and come back.
Angela Johnson,
Here.
Just close out.
Luan Holmes,
Here.
Jamie Newman,
Here.
Ruth Post,
Ruth is traveling.
Lana Anthony.
Here.
I'm sorry, is Lana here?
Here.
Okay. And Stephen Hike,
Here.
Sarah Jeffries, Hans Regis,
I
Oh,
see
yeah, that's
her.
me. Sorry, that's me, yeah.
Hello,
No.
Hans, do you hear us?
Sorry, but I thought my surname was pronounced differently, but you couldn't know that.
okay. And I understand that Mary Johnston is also present,
I'm here.
Yes.
and Brenda K. Young.
Brenda will not be joining us.
Okay,
So
And
there-
Sarah Jeffries has logged on.
Sarah
Okay.
is here.
okay. Thank you very much.
So then, Maria, will you tell me if I've got Diane Flugfelder? Did we get Angie Marshall?
Angie Marshall, no.
And then Marita? She's
No.
not. Then Ruth? She was
No.
gonna try to join us, okay.
Okay,
So there are only three that are not here.
I see Angie on there.
Angie? Oh, there
Yes.
she is. Hey, Angie.
okay.
Hello.
I have Angie Marshall now.
Thank you.
So Diane, I don't have Diane. I don't have Marita. I don't have Janet Gray.
Okay,
I'm here.
Janet is on. There she is. She was having some problems.
Okay,
So,
Madam President, this is Jamie. I just got an email from Ruth. She's waiting to be admitted to the meeting.
okay, Karen, can you admit Ruth Post, please?
I do not see Ruth in the waiting room.
Okay, I'll let her know. Thank you.
If you want to come out and come back in. Technology is wonderful, except when it doesn't work. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that I have a 2:00 Zoom my time with our Senate President, my Commissioner, and Chief of Staff. If by chance we're not done, and this is in regards to Hurricane Ian funding, then President-elect Mary Ann will be taking over the meeting and just advising me what actions taken afterwards. But I did want to give you that little update. So if I happen to disappear and Mary Ann steps forward, you'll know what's going on. So Janet, can you hear everything?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, Jamie, do you know if Ruth is on or Karen?
I am
I
resending the link.
I haven't heard back from
Oh,
Ruth and
there she is.
I sent her the Zoom link.
Okay,
She is in the waiting room and I am connecting her now.
awesome. Thank you, Karen. So Maria, now we've got Ruth.
Thank you.
All right, so Ruth, whenever you have to leave, let us know so we can excuse you for that portion of the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm glad you were able to make it. Okay, so the first thing we have on the agenda is you have a,
Madam President? do
yes,
you wish
ma'am.
to- Do you wish to have a motion to excuse the members not here?
Thank you. I had that written down, Connie, but I didn't follow my own writing. So may we have a motion excusing those members that are not here? And right now it's Marita Rude, correct?
Yes.
Motion, Phyllis.
And Diane Flugfelder.
And Diane Flufelder. Thank you, Connie. Phyllis,
Yes, I'll make that motion.
do I hear a second?
Second by
Who was
Angela.
that? Thank you, Angela. I don't hear any nays, and I'm going to assume we approve those two members that are unable to be with us and are excused. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. As you can see, I hope all of us have a copy of what was sent at a later date. It's a small agenda, but it's packed full of information. May I have a motion to approve that, please?
Luann Holmes, motion to approve.
Thank you, Luann.
Tori Frank, second.
Thank you, Tori. If I hear no nays, then I'm going to assume that this motion for approval of the agenda has
Actually,
been
not-
passed.
Actually, Madam President, if I might, please.
Go right ahead, Stephen.
Thank you. And it's just, it's similar to your comment that you have a meeting. I'd advised Chris that I have a meeting at 1:30 my time that I can't get out of. It's related to our new council orientation. And there's two items on the agenda that I want to make sure that I'm here for the discussion because I have some comments and questions. And those are specifically the Constitutional Task Force and the investment firm. So I was wondering if the board or you'd be amenable to at least touching those soon, so I could actually comment on those.
I'm amenable to that. I also know Lana had something at 1:30. Is that true, Lana?
I'm okay.
So are you okay, or do you need to leave as well?
No, I'm okay to stay.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Lana. All right. So are you putting that in the form of a motion, Stephen, that we take both of those issues first?
If it's required, yes, I'd happy to put that in the motion or the amendment or as, you know.
Luann, I second that.
So Stephen, motion, second by Luann to amend the agenda to hear the Constitutional Task Force and the investment firm discussion first, so that everybody can be included. Or do I hear anybody against that? Rather than the yays, we'll take the nays and then we'll know if it's going to be approved. Here none is passed. So if Chris, do you mind if we move right into Mary Johnston and the constitutional amendment?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, please.
All right. Good to see everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I just want to say first, I want to thank President Pamela for appointing me to this task force and for also appointing the members of the task force. We had a great group, held quite a few meetings to review this, and they all participated and did a great job. So I just want to recognize and thank them for their work on this. I know you've all received a red line copy of our recommendations to the Constitution. I don't know how far you want me to go into them. Mainly, a lot of it was just doing some clarifications, adding some verbiage. But a couple of the items that we did add was under Article 1, Section 9. The task force felt that we should have something in here that would make the review of the Constitution happen on a regular basis. I don't remember the last time a full review was conducted, but putting in a section would make sure that would happen and that we keep our Constitution up to date. The other thing that was significant was, well, the board meetings in Article 9, we did the updates to that, and I believe that had been approved by the board already, so we took care of that. And another change we made was adding a sentence to the attendance at board meetings with having to do with circumstances such as the death of a family member or medical issues such as surgery, etc. And then the last item is at the very end on Article 15 is Section 3 membership vote. We felt that the 60 days was too long, and so we wanted to shorten that up to 45 days. And then in the next section, the next paragraph, we changed that from 61 days or the 61st day to the 46th day for when it would go into effect. And with that, I'll open it up and we'll go from there.
All right, so we have some discussion regarding what Mary has gone over, as well as other items in the Constitution review that you wish to discuss. Stephen, I would assume you have some input since you wanted this put forward first.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I appreciate it. First of all, Mary and to the task force, thank you very much for all the hard work on this. It was really appreciated. There's a lot of things that I do agree in the changes, but then there are some that I actually don't. I actually think they're far too prescriptive. And in some cases, generally, actually, they don't meet up with other clauses. And so if I might, Madam President, I'll go through just a couple things that I noted that the task force might want to consider, the board would want to consider. And I'll start with just the change to or the honorary member, a member or individual. I was thinking about this. If you look at, so it's Article 3, Section 2D1, where it actually, and this is not a change you made, but it says that, you know, an IMC past president upon retirement or assuming a position with a legislative government body other than a municipal clerk. I would just suggest actually the municipal clerk is actually not correct, because under the definition of a full member, it's more than just a municipal clerk. So that actually, other than would qualify as a full member, I believe might be the correct wording. There was just a little technical thing. Then it was, my question was around the composition of the board of directors. So and I know we just did this amendment, but I actually don't think it lines up well with some other changes that we made. So Article 4, Section 1 says the board of directors is comprised of 4 executive committee members and a minimum of 24 regional directors and a maximum of 28 regional directors, 2 from each region. I actually believe, since the Constitution was amended to say that the board of directors has the authority to establish regions, that this should simply say that the board of directors is comprised of 4 executive committee members and the region directors. And the reason I believe that is because we specifically say in Article 6, Section 1, there shall be 2 region directors elected from each IMC region. So it links those 2 points together. So that was my one comment on that. The other comments I had, and it was an interesting one, and I'm taking this from a diversity and inclusion perspective, where we speak of the oath of office shall be administered to each officer prior to taking office. And I respect oaths of office, but in a modern world where in courts of law and every other thing, we allow oaths or affirmations. So, because not everyone believes in God or a God, I believe that this should actually refer to the oath or affirmation of office, because I think that should recognize the diversity of our members and their individual beliefs. And then under, and I apologize if I'm going too fast, please let me know if I am. Under Article 7, the Executive Committee, where we speak about the powers of the Executive Committee, it says the Executive Committee is not a decision-making body. All actions must be ratified by the Board of Directors. I generally agree with that, but there might be some governance efficiencies where the board may choose to delegate its authority or certain very limited things to the EC to allow business to happen. So I'm wondering if we need to add a part to there that says, unless the board has specifically delegated such authority to the Executive Committee. It's just about improving governance and decision-making and not delaying decision-making and allowing decision-making to happen in a good way. And then under Article 9, the board meetings. Yes, sorry.
I need to write. Hold on.
Sorry.
Anybody else having that problem? Hold on. Gee whiz, you're a whiz.
I like constitutions and bylaws and drafting and governance.
Well, good.
So yeah. No.
Anybody else need a little bit more time?
No, but Pamela, this is Sherry. Just kind of a clarification. Will these changes that Stephen is suggesting, will these go back to the Constitution Committee? I assume that
Yes,
would be
ma'am.
the process if the
Yes,
board
ma'am.
agreed. Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
ma'am.
Thanks.
And certainly that would be my preference, to have the board discuss and then go back to the committee. Like, these are just my opinions. There's no doubt, right? So.
No problem. Go right ahead.
Okay, under the Board of Directors meetings, first of all, thank you for capturing the 5. I actually just think this might be a little too prescriptive, the way it's worded. I wonder if we just need to say that at least 5 meetings of the Board of Directors will be held annually, and we can keep the notice, and simply say that 3 of the meetings shall be held in person unless circumstances warrant otherwise, similar to what happened with the mid-year. And the other 2 shall be at the discretion of the board. So that way the board can make its determination about what's best for it now and in the future on how to meet. And then my only last comment would be about the attendance of board meetings, and I absolutely appreciate what the task force was trying to do about the mitigating circumstances. And the such as, I wonder, if we just need to say, unless there are mitigating circumstances as determined by the board to provide some flexibility, such as. So the board's not tied its hand, because there are a lot more mitigating circumstances other than death in family and medical reasons. So those are my comments.
My apologies, I had to write some more. So that was a lot, Stephen, but thank you. You bring up some good points. Does anybody else have any other additional comments or discussion you'd like to make regarding the same issues or different issues? Please feel free.
I have a comment.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Article 1, Section 9.
Let me get there, please.
Yep.
Okay. Is everybody Article 1, Section 9?
Yep. And thanks for doing this, Mary. In keeping in line with IMC's policy, a task force is appointed by the president, but also needs to be approved by the board. So I think that sentence needs to be in there. And then the other question goes back to Stephen regarding the executive committee. Your comment is well taken, but shouldn't that be under the board as opposed to the executive committee? So as not to confuse the powers and the action that can be provided, or does that not matter?
Through you, Madam President, I actually don't think it matters because if it's comma as specifically delegated by the board of directors, it still requires the board to actually have taken action. That's my view.
I would agree. Anybody else have any other opinions regarding that? Mary, did you get that change? You're muted.
Yes, yep, I did.
Thank you.
I would appreciate if we could get all these comments in writing. That way I know I'm taking exactly what the board desires back to the task force.
I was going to ask the same thing, Stephen.
I'd be happy, Madam President, following, well, early next week, minor handwritten notes, but to do a markup of the red line and send it back.
That'd be fine. Thank you. And when you send that, if you just send it to Chris, let Chris disseminate it to the rest of us, including to Mary, and she can disseminate it for additional meeting with the task force. Thank you. Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Any other comments, discussion? Madam President, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
In Article 9, Section 3, there is an attempt to identify what a majority is, and it is incorrect. It is common that people think it's one more than half. If you have 23 members, what's one more than half? Half is 11 and a half or 12. Where are you going to go with it? Majority simply means more than half. It does not have to be identified as something else.
So I'm lost. Where are you talking about, please?
Article
9.
Page
8. Section, let's see.
Section 3.
Article 9, Section 3. There is an attempt to clarify what majority means, and that clarification is incorrect.
Should we take it out, Connie?
Yes, just take it out. What's there is appropriate. Majority is all you need because majority is more than half.
Okay.
So it's majority of the members present or majority of the board of directors?
It's a majority. For a quorum, it's a majority of the board.
Okay, so if we have 26 seats, it would need to be 14.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Everybody, do you understand that? Sometimes I'm slow.
Okay, it depends on how many are actually board members, not who is present.
Right.
Who is present determines votes for a majority, but the quorum is something different.
Am I the only one that doesn't understand that? I'm sorry, I'm tired. Tell me that again. Okay, so difference in the people present and the majority of the board members.
First of all, to establish the quorum, you have to have a majority of the board members.
Okay.
For a vote, you have to have a majority of the members present and voting. That's the difference.
Right, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the quorum only at this point.
That's correct.
Okay, that's why I was confused. So this is concerning only the majority. My apologies if I was the only one.
The definition of quorum, yes.
Okay, all right, I'm good. Anybody else have anything? Any questions, any comments? please make your comments now. Okay, Sherry?
Pam, so I'm sorry to beat this up, but is it Connie, is it a majority of the board of directors present? Does the word present need to be there?
No,
Okay,
no. A majority of the board constitutes a quorum. Do you
Okay.
present in person or present in the Zoom meeting? It just
Okay.
means that you need a majority of the members in order to take valid action.
Any other questions? Okay,
I don't have, Madam President, I don't have a question, but would it make more sense, Sherry and Pamela, if maybe you said, let me see. Basically tying it back to oh, I've lost my wording here. To the number, I get what you're trying to say, and I get why there's a little bit of confusion. You want to tie it back to the authorized membership. To the
Yes.
seats, yeah. A majority of the authorized membership shall be a quorum, the authorized seats, or maybe it's fine as it is.
Connie?
This is usually how it's written.
Okay.
This is pretty standard language.
Okay, even if it's standard language, does everybody understand what the majority of the quorum is, what we need to make a quorum?
If you want to clarify it, you could say a majority of the members of the board of directors.
That helps
Constitutes a
me.
quorum.
Jamie, does that help you? Sherry? Are we okay? So may we say a majority of the members of the board? I know that's a little wordy.
But it's clarified.
It does clarify it. Are we good? If there's any nays, okay, I see shaking heads. Okay. So any further discussion? So if there's no more discussion,
Pamela?
Mary? Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Montejo has her hand up. Sorry.
You have to speak up for me, Kathy. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
No problem. Thank you, Madam President. I just had a question for Mary, just for some clarification. On the copy that I'm looking at, I see some red language and some blue language, and I didn't see the code regarding what the difference is. I know that the red language is the proposed language. What is the blue language? And I just wanted to make sure that all of it is coming as a full recommendation from the task force and not like a divided report regarding recommendations. Thank you, Mary.
Those are the blue link, or the blue highlights were some things that were added that I shared with the task force, and I apologize if you got the blue, some of that blue in there. That's all it was to the task force.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
That's
Phyllis?
not task recommendations then.
Yes. So the blue and the red are all recommendations from the task force. Okay, all right. So if there's no further discussion, make sure we've got plenty of time. Then Stephen's comments will be sent in writing to Chris that he will share with each of us, including Mary, who will share it with the task force, and convene them again to discuss those additions or amendments. Then it will come back to us for the February meeting. If Mary cannot convene the task force, then it will not come back to us until May. Okay?
President Pamela?
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. Is it the board's intent to get this before the membership at the May meeting?
Chris, I'd like to. If it's on the February Zoom meeting, then we do have time to put it to the membership for a constitutional change. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure I know timelines and deadlines and things like that
Right.
going forward.
And
Connie?
as your parliamentarian, I just want to let you know that I would like final review capability. I'm not on the task force, but I am the consultant to IIMC. The way it is done for a complete revision is every single section is open for additional change and debate. Or if you're going to submit them as individual amendments, there are now at least 12. So be aware of that. If it's going to be handled as a revision, that means that every single article and section of the bylaws is up for discussion and change. Otherwise, it's at least 12 amendments to be considered. So it would be a much lengthier annual meeting.
Well, I don't think we can say we can't do this because it'll be a lengthy meeting. I think
just
what
want
we
to point
want,
it out of the ramifications of the changes in so many sections. That's all.
well, we're not going to piecemeal this again. What we want to try to do is get a very good review of this Constitution once and for all. If the board agrees, then we will send it forward to the members. And then everybody in this Zoom plus the task force will get a copy. And then Mary will in turn provide that to myself and Chris and the executive board. Then Chris can send it out to everybody. So you have an opportunity to review it. If we need to talk about it again, we'll talk about it. I mean, I would love to have it for May, but I'm not going to say you must do it by May. There's always another year. Any comments? Are you okay? It's your Constitution as well as my Constitution. That's why I want to make sure that you have as much input as you possibly can. This is very important. Sherry?
So just something to think about. I mean, to me, it would be, if we have those two choices, I would much rather take the 12 amendments as recommended by the board and the task force than opening this thing up to every section. Then that would be a nightmare. I mean, so if we did that, why do we have the the Constitution Task Force? I mean, what's the purpose? So anyway, that's my comment, is I would rather just address the amendments as proposed, but if we can do it that way, thanks.
Okay.
I agree with Sherry, but I mean, whatever the group decides.
Madam President, if I might, I agree with Sherry. I'd rather actually get some of the amendments than none of the amendments as well. So
I would agree. So are we in agreement that we will send this back like we just talked about, that we would send back, but when we approve it, it will not go in its totality back to the members. It will be broken down into the 12 amendments. So that will be presented at the May meeting. And thank you, Connie, for that, making that clear. I appreciate it. So that we discuss what's important, not every single article or ABC. Are we good with that? Okay. All right. Do we all understand? So this is what I'm going to do, because I got shaking heads and no shaking heads. Stephen, do you want to make a motion that we send it back to the task force with your amendments and blah, 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 so we can have a vote?
so moved, especially the blah, blah, blah part.
You're so kind. Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is
Second
Lisa.
that.
Just one name. I did not get a name for the second.
Hans, Rice, Rees, Res.
whatever your name is?
Yeah, something
All
like
right.
that.
All right, so everyone who is in favor of sending the amendments to the board, back to Mary for the task force, that we will review once more, that we will vote on for further discussion and then vote. If I've not got that right, please say right now. If not, oh, Sarah, I finally saw your hand. I'm sorry. You're
Can't hear
muted.
you.
Technology.
So I did this to me this afternoon. Okay,
Go right ahead.
hear me now. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I did that to me, Mum. Can I just put a suggestion forward? To me, it seems sensible. If Stephen has a passion for constitution, would it not be a good idea to stick him on the task force? Because he's talking about changing things. He's got the knowledge, and then it will be a direct input without backwards and forwards. It's just
I understand what you're saying. And Chris and I talked about this ad nauseum whenever I was looking at appointing. The reason I did not appoint a sitting board member for the task force is for a conflict of interest in having input and finally voting on it versus the task force. So that was my reasoning for what I did. And I would prefer to keep it like it is. But thank you.
okay.
Anything else?
Madam President,
Yes.
if not current board members are allowed to serve in this committee, wouldn't just it be an idea to have a active clerk within region 10 or 11 to attend this, and not just retired clerks?
We have one. Oh,
Yes, we have one from Region 10 on the task
Yeah,
force.
Region
Dawn,
10.
Dawn Chapin, or Chapin, however you pronounce her last name, is on.
and Bruce, we have Region 11. Bruce.
Yes, Bruce is,
Right. So we did go back because of the comment that you made early on, Hans and Stephen, in regards to that. We did go back and appoint. So we have, a region 10 and a region 11.
Yeah, I hear what you say, and I've met Bruce just again 2 weeks ago, and I really like Bruce and having the chats with him, but it might be an idea to have a slightly younger, more active clerk in this committee, because we're trying to move forward.
I understand your reasoning. I would ask that you allow me to keep the task force like it is. And I believe that what we're all about is being able to take all viewpoints, being retired or older, because I'm older, or for those who are younger and newer, having the ability to look at all of those and be the organization that we want to be for diversity. So I understand what you're saying, Hans.
Oh, I'm trying one. I'm throwing in one last attempt, and then I will try to shut up for the rest of the evening, which I know I can't. But I promise you, I try. But I just came back from hosting a group of 25 young professional clerks here in the Netherlands, and they were all aged between 20 and 25. They gave amazing input, and I think we should allow more clerks of that age group into our constitutional committee than say like the 60 plus.
Thank you. But I'm not going to reorganize the constitutional task force at this late date. Okay. So, and actually the conversation about the members of the task force is not the reason we're talking right now anyway. The reason we are chatting is because we want to have a better constitution that will meet what the members want. If it comes back to you and you're still not happy, we'll have additional conversation, okay? All right. So for all of those who agree to the motion on the floor that I tried to recite, please raise your hand so that we can see the raise of hands. I like the yellow hands. I don't do a yellow hand, I'll do my hand. So okay, so it looks like to me we have a majority. So I'm going to ask this, put down your yellow hands. If you are against the motion, once all the hands are down, please. All right, we have no hands up. If you're against the motion, please raise your hand. I don't see any. Does anybody else see a raised hand? Please help me. No? Okay, so the motion passes. So Stephen will send the information to Chris to disseminate and to Mary for the task force. Okay? All right. So let's go on. And Chris, we were taking next the firm for the allocation of funds. Can you speak to that, please?
I think I can, but I think, Stephen, did you have a comment or questions regarding this before we move on?
Well, yeah, Chris, I'm happy to hear from you first. As you know, I gave you a heads up about my questions on this, but I'm happy to hear from you first. So yeah.
Yes. So on the, as you know, IMC has now $1 million in its board designated reserves. And as we were moving forward toward that goal, one of the things was that once we reached that number, that we would come back to the board and ask the board if we can be directed to speak with an investment broker regarding how that money would be divested. And that is exactly what we have put in the agenda regarding this firm. And what we're asking at this particular point is that the board approve for Connie Parker, our CPA consultant, and I to meet with the firm and to find out exactly what they would do with that kind of an investment and bring that back to the board at the May meeting, and hopefully bring back the CEO of the firm to the May meeting in Minneapolis so she could answer your questions and give you a full-blown presentation. That's what we're asking for at this point. Stephen, I do have your questions, and those are things that if the board says to move forward, we will bring that up with the CEO of the firm. So right now, we're just looking for your approval to move forward regarding communicating and meeting with the firm.
So Stephen, I would be very interested to know what your comments were, please.
Yeah, sure. So, and as I said, I did give Chris a heads up, and I don't need specific answers, but you can, I think to Chris's point that, you know, it's to take these comments back and go and meet and then come back to the board. I'm fine with that. But let me premise this by saying that I'm okay and I'm good with hiring an investment firm to manage the $1 million+ if there's a value proposition for the organization. And when I'm talking about that is if we're going to pay a 1% management fee, what's the net result for us, right? What's the benefit? And especially because we are what, you know, many economists and stuff will talk, we're at the end of the financial cycle, hence why the recession word is being battered around, hence why we're seeing technology stocks taking a beating and everything else. So we're at the end of the upswing, going down before we go up. So if we're now going to, you know, be putting 1% management fee into our earnings, I have some questions or comments, and I'll sort of lay them out so that, you know, Chris can take these back if that's the board's wish to them. And the first one is, you know, like this firm, what's the total value of the assets they have under management, right? Because anyone can set up a financial firm, and like, but if they've only got $1 million under or $5 million under, I'm not sure they're cut out to take $1 million on. You know, the presentation that they put in there talks about not for profit. Well, what is, you know, the total number of not for profit and foundation clients they represent? What part of their business does that represent? What's the total value of assets under management for not-for-profits or foundations? Because that's very important. It's different than the for-profit for the individual. What's the five-year average annual return they've made for their not-for-profits? And I take that one, recognizing at least what I said there about being at the bottom of the current financial economic cycle. And what does their 5-year annual average annual return on their not-for-profits and foundation investments, how does that compare to what IIMC is currently getting for its investments? Because if the difference between their 5-year average annual return and ours is negligible, the 1% management fee wouldn't be worth it, because that would actually be costing us money. And then the question is, is the management fee negotiable? I actually think that 1% on the 500 to 2 million is a little high. I think it should be knocked off by at least 25 basis points. But obviously, I'd want to negotiate that hardcore, because it's about the value proposition. So those were my comments, questions, sort of thoughts that I put to Chris.
Very good. Anybody else have any additional comments you'd like to put to Chris to inquire once we get that far? Thank you, Stephen. Very well thought of, and I appreciate that. Finances is not my most favorite thing, but I understand what you're talking about, and I think your points are well made. We do need to know those things if we're going to hire a firm, because what this is about is keeping the viability of IMC for the future. And staff has worked hard to grow this money. We certainly don't want to give it away for management fees. And we do need to consider the downturn and what we're looking at possibly for the economy and for the stocks and trades right now. So there's a lot to think about. So I appreciate that. Anything else? So Chris, what do you need?
I need approval from the board to direct Connie Parker and me to meet with the investment firm, get a lot of these questions answered. And if we like the direction and like the individual, then perhaps we would introduce the person to the board and we can continue the discussion further regarding our investments.
I'll make that motion, Madam President.
Thank you, Stephen.
I'll second.
Who was
Janet.
that?
Janet Gray.
Thank
I
you,
second.
Janet. For all those that agree with adding Stephen's comments and allowing Connie and Chris to meet with the investment manager to pose these questions and bring it back to us, may I hear an aye?
Aye.
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 For those who are against this motion, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Lee. You just said yes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. For those who are opposed to this motion, please say aye. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm not consistent. I certainly apologize. Okay. So at this time, we're going to go back and follow the agenda as it is in front of you, which will mean that we will have our executive director update unless there's anything else you want to carry forward first. Okay, so Chris, I'll give it over to you, please.
Thank you very much. On page 53 of your agenda, there's a report regarding the process for discrepancies in CMC and MMC application review. If you recall, in Little Rock, I believe Kelly brought up a couple of situations where members have fabricated information on their application and put staff in a position where we had to oversee and make that decision. So I believe I asked the board if it was okay for me to draft a in-house process policy for your approval. This is what's in front of you here. This would basically allow staff to, if they do find a discrepancy, to follow the 6 steps that we've outlined in the in-house process. And as we look at things, we are in no way wanting to put any negative or cast any negative light on the applicant, but we also don't want to take any harsh tactics to remove the applicant or the application process. We've actually put the onus back on the applicant to provide us with correct information once we get back to him or her. So if you look at it, it's fairly self-explanatory in that regard. This would be in-house. It would not be something we would be distributing to the members. And we're looking for your approval to turn this into a staff policy.
Do I hear any discussion regarding same?
I'll be happy to offer that motion. I thought it was really good. Phyllis.
Thank you, Phyllis. Do
Lisa,
we have a second?
Lisa, I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, so we have a motion and a second. For all those that agree with this motion, please just say aye.
Aye.
Madam President, actually, sorry, can I ask a quick question? Sorry.
No, Stephen.
Sorry.
Yes.
This was probably the third on my list if I actually had a question for.
Of course.
Thanks. It's Chris. My only question is sort of about you know, if the applicant fails to respond, the applicant remains suspended until you back for them. Well, I read that as being like, you know, until the applicant dies or ceases to become a member. Has there been any thought about, you know, putting aside a time limit on this?
We haven't discussed the time limit. I mean, we can easily, after, you know, 6, 7, 8 months, go back to an individual. The good news is that this is not an ongoing or a lot of members that are into this. It's a bit rare. If you'd like, we can say after 6 months, we can go back, reach back out to the member and touch base with them and just find out where they are. But we don't want to continue to, you know, reach out to them every 30 days only because there's other things we're working on.
Yeah, no, and I certainly don't think we should be putting a time limit. My comment was more sort of the administrative that, you know, you don't want this, like, I'm not sure you want to get to the point where you have, like, you know, applications that are suspended for 2, 3, 4 years. And, you know, that's all. That is just a comment that administratively you might be quagmiring yourself just a little bit.
Okay, we'll talk about it in-house, but that's a good point. Thanks, Stephen.
Anybody else have a comment that I didn't see?
Madam President, if I may,
Yes,
Kelly's staff, to Stephen's comment, I appreciate that being brought up. In this particular case where this conversation was actually brought up to begin with, just as an update, the particular member has gone inactive and has canceled their membership. So they don't, in these rare cases where this actually does happen, with, like I said, it's very rare, but they were kind of aware that they had been caught and they're no longer around. So I don't know if that makes a difference or if you wanted that update, but I thought I would give it.
We appreciate it, Kelly. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right, again. So we got a motion and a second to approve this policy. For those that agree, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear a lot of ayes, so I'm going to ask for those who are against the motion to say aye. Thank you. So motion passes.
Madam President, just a little tip. If you're going to ask them if they're against it, tell them to say no or nay, not aye.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. On page 57 of the agenda, there's a report regarding the 2023 hotel cancellation penalty. This is new. When IMC signs contracts with a hotel, one of the things we do is we promise a percentage of the rooms that we're going to sell. And if we don't meet that percentage, then the hotel penalizes us with charging us what those rooms would have cost had we sold them. In Little Rock, I believe we lost approximately $7,000 out of our commission due to members making reservations, 1 room, 2 rooms or more, and then not showing up. So they hold rooms in anticipation that they're going or their friends are going. And then when that does not materialize, they leave those rooms alone. And then we're stuck with the empty rooms. What we're asking the board, we've provided some pros and cons regarding 2023, but we're asking that the board take a look at recommendation number 2 to minimize this risk. We're asking that if the board approves the host hotel, the Hyatt Regency, will include a 1-night stay, which is approximately $176, which includes taxes upon a guest's cancellation, regardless of when and why the cancellation occurs. We've been very good the last 4 or 5 years without getting into attrition. But it just seems like it's always been on the radar. And this also will help us keep a better count of the number of rooms that are still available in the host hotel. We've had years where the host hotel is sold out in a matter of 5-6 days, only to find out in March and April as we get close to our conference dates that the host hotel has 30, 40, 50 rooms available because those people have just failed to confirm their rooms. So our recommendation is to put in a cancellation fee. If nothing else, it might act as a deterrent. We do need this approved because we are ready to go online with our registration process for 23. And this would have to be something that we would need to post so that the members are fully aware of this. Thank you.
Any discussion? Do you understand the reason for the proposal?
Madam President, I did want a little bit of clarification. So the issue is that you're having one member reserving multiple rooms. So that's the issue. But with this policy, everybody would be penalized.
No, Tori, it's more than one member. So any member, so let's say you reserve 5 rooms, but you don't use up all 5 rooms, you just use 1. Well, the 4 that remain empty, if we can't sell them in time, we have to pay for those. And if you multiply that against a couple of dozen members, it does add up.
Okay, but just one member, say one member makes their hotel reservation and then she finds out that she can't go, she's still going to be penalized?
Only she, yes.
Just a quick question, Madam President.
Yes.
Couldn't we achieve the same by requiring just a deposit? Because if I'm going to do it for multiple people, I would not be doing 7 or 8 deposits.
So you're talking about deposit for the first night?
That's right.
And they would lose their money if they cancel?
No, but I still wouldn't make a deposit for 7 or 8 people if I was.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anybody
I don't have
else?
that kind of money, of course, you know.
Madam President.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I understand what the problem is because I do it. I make the reservation as soon as the hotel comes out to get in the host hotel, but I am positive that I am going. So I think that is what is happening is people are wanting to be in the host hotel, but may not have permission from their municipality to go. And then when they don't get it until very late. And they cancel the hotel rooms and we can't fill them. So I think if they knew they were going to lose or be charged that money, they'd be very careful about making that reservation. And you'd get people that were certain that they were going. So I support this. I don't believe we can afford to lose $5,000 to $7,000 each year just because people want to stay in the host hotel. And I understand why you want to stay in the host hotel. Thank you.
Madam President, or through the chair to Chris, maybe I'm confused. I thought you got charged. If you don't cancel, don't you get charged anyway? Don't most hotels have a 24-hour cancellation or a 48?
Some
Chris?
some hotels do, Jamie. Unfortunately, when we sign the contract, we're responsible for all the rooms. So it's not as if you individually are you're making the reservation individually, but it's under IMC's contract. So if you bail, it comes back to us, not necessarily to the individual.
So what you're saying, if I heard that right, Jamie, is that if I do not cancel my room, I'm not charged at all?
No, if I don't cancel a room, I'm charged. If I don't cancel it in a certain amount of time. Right? I mean, that's a 24-hour cancellation. Most hotels have that. Some now even have a 72-hour.
True.
Right. And you're correct in that. But again, it's a contract that we sign. So really the onus comes back to the parent company that signed the contract. So for example, in Little Rock, we had a number of people, including several board members, who had to leave early. We weren't aware of that. They left. We guaranteed the room through Wednesday night. They leave Monday or Tuesday. We're stuck with that extra night.
It's because you're guaranteeing them. I get it.
Exactly.
So it's different than personal travel.
Yes. And just to be clear, it's not IMC that would keep the one nights. The hotel would keep that. We're not looking to make money off of that. That would be on the hotel side.
Stephen, I see your hand finally, and then I see Kathy's.
I just have thank you. I just have a question. So I generally support this, but my only concern would be for those that have significant mitigating circumstances, and making sure that we have a process in place to protect those who have mitigating circumstances. And there are a variety of mitigating circumstances beyond an individual's control. So.
And we would consider that, Stephen, on a case-by-case basis. Absolutely.
Kathy, and then Phyllis, and then Hans.
Thank you, Madam President. My comments were similar to Stephen's. As I understand from a business perspective, the need to do this, but being a membership-based organization, I would like to see us have some exceptions built in due to death of immediate family member or a positive COVID test and they can't travel, whatever the case may be. We are people-based, we're membership-based, and I think we need to have some allowances there, while at the same time addressing the situation that Chris has raised from a business perspective. Thank you so much.
Phyllis?
Thank you, Madam President. My concern about this is, what happens if someone loses their job or something? I mean, mine is put on my personal credit card and I don't get reimbursed until after I turn the receipt in. So in the meantime, if I've lost my job or, something like that's happened, then I'm just going to be out. I mean, we're going to be out that money. Is there a way to do it, maybe to back it up like 15 days? In 15 days, if you haven't canceled your room 15 days before arrival, then you're going to be charged. And then that way we could send it out to the membership to say, hey, we have these rooms available at the host hotel. If you're interested, here you go. Because a lot of times I know here for our municipal league, everybody wants to be at the host hotel and everybody books these rooms. And then a lot of times they start canceling the rooms. They don't need them. And so everybody's like, hey, if there's an opening at the host hotel, I would really, please let me know. We have our clerk's Facebook page and people are always saying on there, please let me know if there's a cancellation because I really want to be at the host hotel. And so we share that information. So I'm just wondering, if there's a process to maybe not make it quite so strict.
Yeah, just what Phyllis said. If as VVG, I think we have a 1 week period. You can have a free cancellation in that period, and after that you just get charged, even if you don't use the room. So I'm good with that. I think we should charge people who reserve rooms. And there are always circumstances like losing a job or a funeral. But I think Chris and his team are sensible enough to give advice on those situations. But I think the majority is just Well, if you book a room, you have to pay for it. And I don't mind if they don't use it.
So
I really think that we should have some kind of a built-in backup for those people that really need it. But I also think we need to remember that originally the comments that were made when we started this conversation were for clerks that were making multiple room reservations. They weren't just not only making their reservations, but they were holding up multiple rooms so that others could not get those rooms. And attrition in a contract in a hotel is a very big thing if those rooms are not available. Thank you.
Ruth, pardon me, Ruth, let me take Angela.
Oh, thank you, Pam. I was going to say another one way that our state or municipal organization does it is we at our host hotel, when you register, like when we do our elected officials, you are obligated to 10% of what you're not obligated to the entirety, but you're obligated to 10 or 20% of the total of those rooms. Therefore, if you make reservations for your entire board and you cancel 2 of them, then you're okay. But if you start getting above that 20%, then they're still going to obligate you to the rest of that money. So then it's left up to you to go find someone to fill that room to get your money back. And the organization helps you do that if you have an extra room or something, but it does deter people, I think, from making too many reservations if they know they might have to pay that amount.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Madam President. I had 2 thoughts. One is, and Chris, maybe you could confirm this. Part of the situations we've run into in the past is people block all these rooms out at the host hotel, and then IIMC contracts with an additional hotel for additional backup rooms, and then those rooms get canceled at the host hotel, and now we're on the hook both ways. And you're nodding your head and saying, yeah, that's part of the problem.
Yes.
Okay. My concern with the cancellation fee is in these cases where people need to cancel because of these legitimate reasons, as were previously described, who is in charge of that process? Who's going to take the responsibility? Are cancellations going to be directed to IIMC staff before you call the hotel and cancel? Or is the hotel just going to have that blanket authority to charge the fee, and then we're going to come back afterwards and dicker about whether it was a legitimate reason for canceling? Did I say that right?
You did.
Yes.
Chris?
Thank you.
I can answer that. So IMC's responsibility regarding the room block, we reserve rooms for the board, staff, speakers, and our international guests that are coming in. We're responsible for all of those. We're also responsible for all the other rooms. So what ends up happening is, as we get close to the conference, I get weekly readouts in terms of where the room block is. And we make adjustments at that time. And if we think that there's X amount of rooms that are on hold but have yet to be confirmed, we will release them in time for the hotel, try to sell them. We try to work with the hotel in that regard as well. What ends up happening is pretty much your first point, Ruth, in that we get a second hotel because the first hotel says they're sold out. And now we have people in a second hotel. And then as what happened in Little Rock, we've got 50, 60 rooms available now at the Marriott, and we can't move those people in there. Usually when we get a second hotel, they'll work with us on either eliminating attrition or keeping it at a very low percentage. So it's something that would have to be handled on a case-by-case nature. And obviously somebody books 6 rooms and doesn't show up, there's really no good excuse for that. But if somebody does book a room, they've got to get back on an emergency. as Hans said, we would deal with that and we would take care of that. So they really wouldn't be put out. We're just trying to prevent people from hoarding rooms. But we are, we're in one hotel in Minneapolis. We are not getting a second hotel until we are absolutely certain that that hotel is 100% sold out.
Carrie.
Does IIMC have a way to check conference registrations against hotel reservations? We're involved with a large group here in Indiana, and if there's a hotel reservation that does not have an accompanying conference registration, that person will be contacted and that room will be put back on the market for someone else who needs it.
Harry, we do that. The hotel will sell out immediately. And then reservations for the conference, registrations will come in, January and February, and the hotel may be completely full by the end of January. We do check the registration list to the room block list. And then if we have time, we'll reach out to those people. But sometimes it's difficult with what we're doing to get back out to 70 people and ask them if they're coming, because we have a registration or we have a hotel confirmation, but not a registration. So chasing them is time consuming, but we do check the lists. Yes, we do.
Lana.
Thank you. Through to Madam President. I'm just curious, I posted in the chat, is there a deadline on the contract for providing reservations, Chris?
I think it's up to 45 days prior to the conference. So I'd have to go back and look, but usually it's 45 days prior to the start of the conference.
That's a long time. And I feel like if the members knew that IIMC is being charged for it, I think that people would be more mindful of it. They probably just don't realize it. I think if it was communicated to them of just saying hey, this is affecting our funds for our members. So please be mindful. I feel like people would be pretty respectful of it if they knew. That was all the comment I had.
Thank you. So Jamie, before I call on you, Kathy, I saw your hand raised. Are you good? Jamie?
Thank you, Madam President. What about if you put the penalty on rooms 2 through however many? So the penalty won't apply to the first room.
That's a good question. This is really from the hotel. I don't really know how they monitor that. To separate it in that regard, Jamie. I mean, I'll note it and go back and find out, but good point. I'll check.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have questions? All right, so if we have no more questions or discussion, do we have a motion?
I would move that we accept the policy as written.
Do we have a
Janet?
second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sue. For all those that are in favor of approving the policy as written with knowing Chris is going to work toward this, so those that do not need to be penalized for mitigating circumstances will not be. If you'll say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
For all those that disagree, like Connie said, say nay.
No.
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 So I got Stephen, Angela. Who was the third person?
For no?
Or no? Phyllis?
I was a yes, Madam President.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Madam President, unless you do a roll call, there's no need to know who they were.
Thank you. Okay, so the ayes have it. Would we agree?
I call for division. I would like a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mary Ann. So for all of those in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. And
I
keep
mean
it
a roll
raised.
call vote.
Roll call. Oh, thank you.
Madam President, will you restate the motion, please?
Yes, so. Well, give me a minute. So the recommendation is to charge one night's hotel penalty, which would be in the amount for this hotel of $176.74 for those who do not cancel and leave IMC with the room, unless there are mitigating circumstances, and IMC will work with the hotel to decide what those mitigating circumstances are. Phyllis?
The number 2 on the Chris's recommendation says to minimize the risk that they're going to charge it regardless of whether or not they.
Okay, my motion was to approve it as presented, but if it's more palatable and my seconder would go along, I would move to approve it as presented with the understanding that the IIMC staff will work with the member if there are mitigating circumstances.
Thank you, Phyllis, and thank you, Janet.
Susan, is that acceptable to you? As
Yes, it is.
Okay. So Mary Ann wanted a roll call vote. Connie, will you call the roll for the vote, please?
I believe that will be Maria again.
Where's Maria?
I'm right here.
Thank you.
Okay, I can go ahead and get that started. And just for clarification, Connie, does the EC vote?
It's a majority vote. You call the regions first and then the officers.
Okay. Susan Hage,
Yes.
Kathy Montejo,
Yes.
Travis Morris, Lee Frazier,
No.
Tori Frink,
No.
Phyllis McGraw,
No.
Angela Richburg,
No.
Angela Marshall,
Yes.
Carrie Muckford,
Yes.
Gloria Christensen,
Yes.
Janet Gray,
Yes.
Celine Hurtado,
Yes.
Angela Johnson,
Yes.
Luann Holmes,
Yes.
Jamie Newman,
No.
Ruth Post,
Yes.
Lana Anthony,
Yes.
Stephen Hike,
Yes.
Sarah Jeffries, Sarah, Hans Regis,
Yes.
Yes.
okay, and then I have the board, the EC, Pamela Smith,
Yes.
Mary Ann Hess,
Yes.
Lisa Garcia,
Yes.
and Sherry Pierce.
Yes.
Okay, I believe that that's everyone, and I have 5 nays. The rest are yes.
Thank you, Maria. So Chris, this passed.
I have 17 yes, 5 no, and no response from Sarah Jeffries.
So I apologize, my headset. I can't keep it on all the time. It is a yes.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I might be excused now, I thank you for indulging me, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Stephen.
Madam President, if I could quickly ask, I too need to leave the meeting as previously arranged, but is it possible for staff to bring us back a follow-up report after this year to see what the impact of this decision was
Yes.
after the
Absolutely.
conference.
Chris?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have a
Okay,
good rest of
so-
your meeting.
Thank you, Ruth. So can we have a motion to excuse Ruth and Stephen, please?
Motion to excuse Ruth and Stephen from the meeting.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Thank you. You guys are good to me. I appreciate it.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I have to leave a little bit after 9:30. I'd like to stay for most of the discussion of the Plus program. But I have to get to Anchorage as well. So if the board will allow me, I need to leave around
Okay.
9:35.
Okay, so taking that in consideration, Chris, if the board is agreeable, can we move the
That's the next one.
EPP? Is it the next one?
It's the next one, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So Chris and me,
I will turn this over to Dr. Rodriguez.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening to everybody and Madam President. So by now, you've all been able to review the EPP program, which is the Education Plus program. And what education is asking from you today is based on the incentive structure. And I know there may be some questions surrounding that, and I'll make time for that. But what we are looking to do at this moment, because IIMC is currently building out our in-house data system, we need to know today if you are all in favor of this incentive structure so we can build it into the program. And if not, we're just looking for your feedback on that today so we know what direction we're moving with this section of the piece. And with that, Sherry, I'll go ahead and I'll open up for your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. The only comment that I have, I'm good with the program as presented. The only clarification or comment that I have is I know that we discussed that there was going to be a certain amount of hours looked at for that was in-person attendance, whether it be at an academy, whether it be a conference or something. So it was my understanding that you wouldn't be able to complete this program totally online, that there would be some component of it that would require an in-person interaction. Obviously not a large amount, but some in-person interaction. So that's the only thing I didn't see here.
Okay, so to answer that question, I think ultimately some of that will happen, but because we're not overly prescriptive of what the education initiatives have to be, we're not prescribing that to the institutes. And some of the institute feedback, some of their feedback was that, not one size fits all, because some states don't have an institute. So some do a portion online, but it wouldn't be ultimately our decision because the institutes would make that. So we know that based on the feedback, a good portion of the institutes will be in person. It's their style. It's what they would like to do. Some may do a hybrid. I'm not sure that we received information that it would be totally online, but that was just based off the feedback and just based on IMC's historical, relationships and collaboration with institutes, if that answers your question.
Madam President?
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't care how they do it. I just want some component of this to be in person so that this program cannot be done completely online. I want some amount of it. I don't care how they do it, whether it's whether it's attending a conference, whatever. Just some certain amount of hours. Not I don't care if it's 8, but some in-person interaction with this. So that's where I stand on it. I'll listen to the board, but that has always been my preference or intent, so.
Anybody else have any other additional questions or discussion? Susan? Sue?
I'm okay either way. However, somebody wants to get their education is fine with me. But I will just ask a question, because I think in the beginning, wasn't part of this reasoning for this program is because there were clerks out there that their boards would not pay for them to attend certain like conferences and academies and things. So they had to attend that. And I mean, the purpose of doing this, I think, was to help those clerks to be able to still be able to come to conferences and other educational opportunities in person and have their boards pay for them. So I think that was part of the original thinking.
Angie?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Is anybody else? Sherry?
Poor thing.
Yeah, yes, that was correct. The ability to be able to attend, their state conference in person, or I mean, that's been an issue once they receive their MMC. So I don't want a municipality to be able to say you can't travel. I would just like a small component of it, something to be a requirement that it be a personal interaction. This is a leadership program, so I believe that there should be some personal interaction involved in this. That's just my feeling.
So Sherry, could I ask a question? Or would you be, when you say personal interaction, are you wanting, is it virtual that you're in agreement with, or do they have to meet?
No, I would like it to be in some sort of in-person interaction. I don't agree that this should be you should be able to get this totally online. I believe that there should be, as an example, I believe some of the SLCC programs they have, and Sarah maybe can talk to this. There's a small component in that is required to be in person. So.
Anybody want to speak to that?
Hello, sorry, I'm back online with my audio. I'm very concerned. This can be seen as discriminative, that you have to be in person. And I know with the SLCC, we do make allowances for those who are having to pay for this themselves, don't have the travel. You can have a disabled person who has restrictive travel. I know in Great Britain, we're very much into equality and diversity, and to make it mandatory that you have to be there as a person, when obviously all during COVID, we were able to do webinars and things happened in that way, that will be going backwards where we've moved forwards with our technology and inclusivity. It's more inclusive for people to attend online. It's more inclusive if they have family restrictions, work restrictions, finance restrictions. That I think you have to look at the bigger picture rather than just, I'd like people to be there or to be seen at least one thing. It's looking at that bigger picture. Sorry, that's all I'd have to add.
Madam President, and then I'll let everybody else speak to this. I would, if we needed to make, an exception, I think that that's possible. But again, I think I do not believe that you should be able to totally complete this online. So I believe that there should be some sort of requirement, even if it's for a minimum amount of hours. So That's all I have to say about it. That's just my personal feeling.
So is there any other additional comments in regards to the total program being virtual, or a portion or a tiny bit or a class or something being in person?
Excuse me, Madam President, can I just ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. How many boards do you think actually know what the parameters around one of these programs is? Because I got to be honest, I don't think my board would even know whether I had to complete this in person or not. I'm just curious. I just don't think that's a question they would ever ask. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Additional comments? You have no opinion about this. Jamie?
Well, I probably shouldn't have, I mean, because I'm going to talk out both sides of my mouth. I totally think I'm old school, and I totally see the value for in-person communication, and so that's my preferred method, at least a little bit. But I suppose if there's no, going back to what Dr. B said, if we currently don't require academies or whatnot to be, if we don't differentiate and say this has to be in person and this has to be online, I don't know how we would enforce it here. Correct me if I've misunderstood you, Dr. B.
No, that's correct. And I'm trying to stay consistent, and I certainly appreciate what Sherry is saying. I just don't want to be overly prescriptive how institutes, and again, I think it's an assumption that this would be done 100%. I mean, that's just not, I don't think how it's being perceived, but we do want to be able to allow the institute directors to, organize in the fashion that best fits them, because it's not a one size fits all for institutes or the members. And so we want to kind of see what happens and leave that a little bit open. I don't personally oversee institute directors, and so I have issue with, mandating something. But again, if there's issue, or if you all want to take a vote on number of hours, I am absolutely open to that. Again, I'm not the person that is conducting this. This would be institute directors. So to take something back to the institute directors and tell them that they must do a certain amount of hours, that might change things since we first started. I'm not sure, but I'm open to whatever you all decide.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Any additional conversation?
One more. It
right
doesn't
ahead.
have, yeah, you're not requiring it to be an institute. There are other opportunities as well. It can be your state conference, I mean, that you attend. It can be, an academy session at IIMC conference. It could be, there's academies that are held. I don't know. It just, I just have, and we're municipal clerks and we have personal interaction. And so I just have a strong feeling about this. If it's only me, I'm good with that. But, I see municipalities telling their clerks that, this is something that can be, all be done online. And so we're going to, we're not going to allow you to attend your state conference. So anyway, now I'm done for.
I guess I have a question. Angie, did you have a question? No,
No.
you're making me dizzy.
I'm sorry, my phone, I'm trying to hook it up because the battery's going dead. My laptop is
understand.
left at
No
home. I
problem.
apologize.
Okay, so I guess what
Madam
I'm.
President, if I
Madam
may,
President, Madam President, you have hands up from Lisa and Luann.
I do. Oh, I am so sorry. Lisa, thank you.
I just wanted to say that as a member of Region 8, we have several municipalities that are struggling with institutes and academies right now. And especially we have states that don't even have associations, so they don't have state meetings. So just to make sure that we understand that every state is not in the same place, either through the United States or international members, and don't have the same opportunities. So I just want to make sure that we are making this equally equally available to all members, and that everyone has the same opportunity.
Thank you, Lisa. Luann?
Thank you, Madam President. And Lisa, that's exactly what I was going to say. We have a lot of rural town clerks or rural city clerks that they hold more than just the city clerk position. They're also the director of finance and the interim fire chief and the this and that, and they can't leave their positions. I could probably give you 5 municipalities in Nevada alone that say, I have 5 jobs and I can't leave for 2 days. I have to be able to get my education where I sit. So I would be opposed to putting that sort of restriction on this type of educational program.
Madam
Thank
President.
you. Yes, ma'am. Kelly.
As staff, I have a little bit of perspective that I'd like to throw out as far as virtual, not virtual, in person. With the designation apps, just in general, I see every single type of scenario that there is. I deal with hundreds of members from around the globe, and there is no one size fits all. And when it comes down to in-person or virtual, I think we're getting confused on the quality of the education. There is, when we created this new application form for this program, we strategically really tried to handpick the categories of this application to really make sure that it was quality education that they were receiving. Whether it was virtual or in person, we've listed Institute and Academy, pre-approved clerk association programs that must go through course review with Dr. Beatrice. So we have to see the education first, IIMC online, our annual conference, the Athenian Dialogues, leadership programs. So this isn't simply online through FEMA. This isn't, you know, the random 2-hour programs that you can find through Fred Pryor. So we really were selective on what we're trying to push towards the members. And the original initiative was so that these members can get funding to go. So I have to speak on behalf of the members that not everybody is the same. Not everybody has access to an institute. Not everybody has an association that's active. There was a lot of chatter during the COVID era of members crossing borders to go to other institutes because they don't have one. And a lot of people had issue with that. They weren't receiving their state-specific education that they need. There's exorbitant amount of costs at some of the institutes. Some members are using their own vacation time, sick time to go places. There's no scholarship for this. The IIMC Foundation, we're falling short there. We're leaving clerks behind. So I don't want to sound biased to that this needs to be fully virtual. We're really trying to make it accessible to everybody with what we've created here. We need to make things kind of hybrid. We can't eliminate some people from joining. We want people to do this. That's what this was created for, is so that
those who are sitting dormant with an MMC and want to continue their education and be a part of this can be a part of this. We have our international members. There's some of them sitting on this board that want to be a part of this and they can't because they're across seas. They can't get to an institute, or maybe their current institute is trying to get within our guidelines. We had a conversation with our international board members. Hans, please jump in if you'd like, at conference in Little Rock, how our guidelines don't fit their programs. So this is only going to push people out more if we don't open things and just try to think a little bit broader about what their needs are. We don't have an IIMC institute that everybody can go to. We have state ones. We have, we need to just be a little bit more open to what everybody's needs are. Just my opinion. I don't want to put people into a hole.
Thank you, Kelly. Anyone else?
Well, Madam President, I just want to thank Kelly for what she just said, because it's in Region 11, it's a struggle. And, we started discussions in Little Rock and looking forward to, to continue those in Minneapolis. But having said that, within Region 11, we're also working strongly together with SLCC, ETSO, and VVG, who are basically having the same problems. So, we're not there, but we're heading in the right direction. It might go faster, but we're moving forward.
Thank you, Hans.
And Madam President, I also feel like this program really lends itself to that. And that's not to say that there are still a large group who feel just like Sherry did, that connection, that personal connection works for them, and they will continue to go to their in-person conferences or institutes or all the examples that she provided. There's a large group out there that will still do that, and that option will always still be available to them as long as conferences will continue to exist, and institute and academy. But there's also that component that gives, room for those who cannot get to those places at those costs.
Any additional discussion? So Sherry needs to leave. So is anyone willing to make a motion to provide direction to Dr. Rodriguez and the Education Department regarding this program?
Madam President, the recommendation from staff is at the bottom of page 67.
To approve the Education Plus program for 2023, continue to develop more online courses and finalize the education guidelines.
This is Luann. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Luann. Would you have a second?
Second, this is Angela Johnson.
Thank you, Angela.
Madam President?
Yes, ma'am, sir.
I just want to make sure that what we're asking for right now is, I think the PLUS program was approved. We're just asking that, can we move forward with the incentive structure? Because that's what's going to get built into the application process. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that.
For the structure that is presented on paper.
Yeah, it's
correct.
On page 2 of the
Okay, so this is Luann. I'll amend my motion to include moving forward with the structure that is presented on, looks like page 69.
Page 69.
Okay. That's my motion then.
Thank you, Luann. Angela, do you agree?
Yes.
Thank you. For all those in favor, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand so that we can count them, please. Keep them raised so we can count.
I don't know what I'm voting on.
Okay, so we are voting to continue to develop more online courses and finalize the educational guidelines, as well as including the structure that is presented on page 69. I think we need a roll call vote on this.
Okay.
So if you'll put your hands down, and Maria, will you call the roll?
Okay, I will do that now.
Thank you.
Susan Hage,
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Kathleen Montijo,
Yes.
Travis Morris,
Yes.
Lee Frazier,
Yes.
Tori Frink,
Yes.
Phyllis McGraw,
Yes.
Angela Richburg,
Yes.
Angela Marshall,
Yes.
Carrie Mugford,
Yes.
Gloria Christensen,
Yes.
Janet Gray,
Yes.
Celine Hurtado,
Yes.
Angela Johnson,
Yes.
Luann Holmes,
Yes.
Jamie Newman,
Yes.
Ruth Post has left, correct?
That is correct.
Lena Anthony,
Yes.
Stephen Hike has left, Sarah Jeffries,
Yes.
en Hans Regis.
Ja, ik ben ook voor.
Will
Okay,
you call the vote for the executive committee?
yes. Madam President Smith,
Yes.
Mary Ann Hess,
Yes.
Lisa Garcia,
Yes.
and Sherry Pierce has left. I believe that's everyone.
Okay. So looks like a majority is yes. Thank you. Could we have a motion to excuse Sherry, please?
A motion to excuse Sherry, this is Luann.
Thank
I'll
you.
second Jamie Newman.
Thank you, Jamie. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, so it looks like the budget is up. Chris and your budget people?
Yes, I'll take this over. If you go to page 101, that is the start of the budget and planning mid-year report. However, what we're going to bring up now are the recommendations, which are on page 103 of the agenda. We have listed 5 recommendations that the Budget and Planning Committee has approved, and we're now presenting these to you. Recommendation number 1, the $10 membership increase was already approved a month or 2 ago via email, so that is done. We are looking for the board approval to increase.
Chris, that needs to be ratified.
Oh, my apologies.
This is Luann from Las Vegas. I move to ratify that motion. Are we doing these one at a time?
Can I ask a question?
Lana?
Thank you, Madam President. It says on that number 1 membership increase, it says all voted in favor. I did not vote in favor of that. I'm Region 10. I have a 30% dollar difference. I was opposed to that.
Thank you, Lana. So Luann's question, back to Luann's question. Are we voting, Chris or Connie, for each of these individually?
Yes.
Okay, yes, Luann. All right, so we have a motion by Luann to vote for the $10. Did we have a second?
Second by Angela Johnson.
Thank you, Angela. All right, so since Lana did not vote for this initially, I'm going to ask for a roll call, only because I think this is one of the most important things we do. So Maria, would you do a roll call?
Excuse me, Madam President, just before since I'll be voting first, we're just ratifying, the vote on the table is ratifying the vote that was already taken via email. We're not voting for this increase. We're voting to ratify a vote that already took place, correct?
Thank you, Sue. Is that right, Connie?
Yes, she's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so then we do not need a roll call. So for all those in favor of the $10 increase, raise your hands, please.
I can't get my screen to work, but yes, Phyllis.
I can't either. That's why I raised my hand. All right. Thank you. For all of those who are opposed to the ratification.
No.
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 3, 4. So I had 4 no's. I saw you, Lee, and I saw you, Travis. All right. So I have 4 nays. Connie, that's wrong.
You don't have to count the nays. You have a majority in the affirmative.
Well, I realize that, but I like to count the nays.
Okay, but that won't appear in the minutes.
That's all right. It helps me keep up. I apologize. All right, number 2. So that is approved.
Number 2, we are asking for a $25 increase to the 2023 conference delegate registration fee.
So do we have a motion for approval of the $25? And this is for only people who register.
Madam President,
I will move to increase the registration fee by $25.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
I'll second that, Janet Gray.
Thank you, Janet. For all those who approve for the $25 registration increase, please raise your hand. Okay, unraise your hand, please. For all of those who vote nay for this $25 increase, please raise your hand.
I can't raise my hand, but nay.
Madam
I can't-
President, you have quite a few nays. I think this would be appropriate to have a roll call vote.
Thank you. Okay, Maria, you're on.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So those can use the link.
Okay, Susan Hage?
Yeah, or no.
Okay. Kathleen Montijo?
No.
You're welcome.
Travis Morris?
No.
Lee Frazier?
No.
Tori Frank?
No.
Phyllis McGraw?
No.
Angela Richburd?
No.
Angela Marshall?
No.
Carrie Mugford?
No.
Gloria Christensen?
No.
Janet Gray?
No.
Celine Hurtado,
No.
Angela Johnson,
Yes.
Luann Holmes,
No.
Jamie Newman,
No.
Lana Anthony,
No.
Sarah Jeffries, Sarah,
He's trying.
Hans,
Sarah, shake your head, yes or no.
She's shaking her head no.
Okay, Hans,
No.
okay, I believe the noes have it. I only got one yes. Let me poll the executive committee.
We still need to pull them. Yes.
Pamela Smith,
yes.
Mary Ann Hess,
Yes.
Lisa Garcia.
Yes.
Okay, I believe that's everyone. I have 4 yeses, the rest are noes.
Thank you, Maria. I need to leave, so Mary Ann, would you step up for me, please? And thank you all for
No
your
problem.
participation, and I'll see you soon. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
All right, moving on to number 3. We are asking for a,
Do we want to excuse Pamela before we move on?
Yes, I make a motion that we excuse Pamela from the meeting. Angela Richards.
Luann, I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed,
Aye.
say no. The ayes have it. Go ahead, Chris.
thank you. Number 3, we are asking for a 5% increase in staff salaries, excluding the executive director's salary. This motion was made by Budget Chair Mary Ann Hess and seconded by incoming Budget Chair Barbara Blackard to approve the budget recommended and stated to the board. The Budget Committee was all in favor of this. And on page 141 is the COLA projections that we provided the Budget Committee in terms of what the annual projections would be from 2023 going all the way through 2026. And as you can see, it's really hovering around 8%, and we're asking for a 5% increase.
Thank you, Chris. Is there any discussion? Phyllis, I see your hand.
I just want to verify, we're just approving for 2023. We're not doing a 5-year, because I was kind of confused on the agenda. It said a 5-year cost of living allowance, and I want to make sure that we're just doing for just this year.
Just doing for 2023, the projections were for the next 5 years. The Budget Committee asked me last year to come up with that, and that's why we put it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. This is a 5% recommendation that came from the Budget Committee, 5% COLA increase for 2023. Is there any other discussion? Seeing no hands, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Tori Frank has moved. Do I hear a second?
Second, Travis Moore.
Travis Morris, I have seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those say no. Hearing no nos, the ayes have it, and the 5% COLA has been adopted for 2023. Chris, number 4.
Very much. Number 4 is we're asking for a $2,400 increase in the stipend for our parliamentarians' annual contract. Again, that motion was made by incoming President Mary Ann Hess, seconded by incoming Budget Chair Terry Kowal. And what this would do is it would increase the parliamentary stipend to $5,000 per year.
Thank you, Chris. This has been a recommendation from the Budget Committee. Is there any discussion? Oh, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion then.
Phyllis, I'll make that motion.
Phyllis has moved. Is there a second?
Sue, I'll second it.
Sue has seconded. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, say no. Okay, hearing none, the ayes have it. Thank you, Chris. Please go on to the next one.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you from Connie.
Number 5 is now off the table. I believe a couple weeks ago, in my Friday letter, I informed the board that our conference event manager, Sharon Osment, is not seeking to renew her contract with us. She's moving on to other opportunities. So this is now no longer a recommendation to the board. So we are actually, Mary Ann, we're actually done with the budget report and its recommendations. We are asking the board to, we presented the 22 projected year end and the 2023 projected year end, both budgets with the wish lists and the approvals of these increases will end both years in a projected positive for the organization. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else from the budget or on the item number 7 regarding the budget? Can we move on to number 8?
There's 7G, Mary Ann. Is that still on there?
Which one?
Oh, yes, that's true. Thank you. There's 7G, the hiring of a part-time finance specialist.
That was approved, and we were trying to hire someone in 2022. And just so you know, I received 9 applications. 3 were very solid. When I went to contact the 3, 1 had a disconnected number, 1 hung up on me, and 1 did not return my call to come in for an interview. So we will start that process again in January. I'm not really sure what's going on with employment out there, but that's what we had. But that budget was approved. It is a $40,000 part-time salary. That is in the 2023 budget, which, as I just mentioned, will end the year in the positive. So I want to appreciate all the work with the budget committee making that happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments regarding item number 7 on the agenda? If not, we will proceed to item number 8. The reports from directors and officers, and that's specifically Region 8 board term selection process. And I see Garcia, Holmes, and Johnson's name out here beside it. Who would like to take the lead?
I would like to start.
Okay, Lisa.
So today what we're talking about is basically the recommendation that we set terms for our new directors. So what we're asking for is for Region 8 West directors, terms to be established as of, well, December 2022, expiring May 2025. The second Region 8 director then would be Luann Seek, who is May of 2023. It comes up and goes to 2026. And Region East would also be the 23 to 26. And so that's what we're trying to do, is establish those terms so that we can get people in their place. And the report is complete in your packet, and it starts on page number 169, and the recommendations are on page number 171. And what that will allow us to do is to have those staggered terms so that the region will have consistency. Luann and Angela, would you like to add anything?
This is Luann. Actually, that's right on par, Lisa. I was going to bring up the Region 8 West person that's coming on in December. Will have a shorter than 3-year term, but that's to create that staggered appointment, and they've agreed to it. We have a candidate that's put their application in. Correct, Chris?
Yes, I believe so.
Excellent.
And the only thing that I have to add is that I've been working with Montana to try to recruit or find somebody to be the next Region 8 East member in May.
Okay, excellent. Is there any further discussion? Okay, is there a motion to bring forth to the board to vote on?
I move for that recommendation.
I'll second.
Thank you, Troy. And Jamie seconded.
Madam President, again, who offered the motion?
It was Tori Frank.
Thank
And Jamie Newman seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? We appreciate your hard work on this. I know it's been a slow go, but we appreciate all your hard work. Thank you again. We will proceed to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oh, I hear a lot of ayes. How about some noes? Hearing no noes, we are very, very excited about this, and we appreciate your hard work. This motion has been adopted. Yay!
Yay.
Yay!
Thank you.
The next item is just other business and announcements. So I will entertain other business that may come forward.
Madam Chair,
The chair recognizes Hans.
is anyone interested in a 30-second preview of the study abroad for next year?
Well, we would love that.
Okay, then I will share my screen then. Hope this will work. Oh, host disabled participant screen sharing, so I can't do.
Aaron.
Are you able to share now?
Yeah, can you see it?
Yes.
Well, as you all know, next year study abroad. Registration will open shortly. Next week, international consultant Tom Vanderhoven and the organizational committee will meet, and after that, we will go forward. I hope this will work. Yeah. Well, arriving Saturday, the 16th of September, Bruges, together with the city manager of Bruges, a very interesting program is on its way. Monday, move over to Antwerp to visit the harbor and see the connection between the Netherlands and Bruges. Then it's sightseeing Netherlands with all the places you see here. We're trying to get a dinner organized in the Rijksmuseum, and there will be loads of tulips and clocks as well. I think I have a pair somewhere myself, so for this week I will wear them. Then on Wednesday, this is still in discussion, more Netherlands or just visiting both houses of parliament and the International Justice Court. And I will try to convince some of you to go to my local, which is an Irish pub in The Hague. Then on Thursday, there will be the symposium, which will be held in English and translated to Dutch for the Dutch clerks, and will end in a fabulous party in Amsterdam. And then the Friday will be a Dutch conference translated to English. So yeah. Program is looking very nice, and I hope you'll enjoy it, and hope to see lots of you register for this fun trip.
This looks like a wonderful opportunity, Hans. Thank you for all your hard work. We look forward to it, and I highly want to encourage everyone to attend. This will truly be one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. So thank you, Hans. Is there any other new business, other business or announcements?
Madam President or Madam Chair?
Luann?
I actually just have a question. Chris, are you allowed to tell us who has thrown their hat in the ring for the next vice presidency? Or do we have to wait?
I put that in the Friday letters. We have 3 candidates: Don Abramson from California, Janice Bates from Ohio, and Stephen Hike from Canada. Those are the ones that I have so far in-house. I believe mid-January is the deadline for the VPs as well as the region director candidates.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Really sad we won't be seeing each other at mid-year.
No, it's very disappointing.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the Education Department, I wish to thank everybody for your support with this new education initiative, and we're very excited to put it out there. And we're also very thankful for your approval of the cost of living adjustment. Thank you so much.
Well, you're definitely welcome. We appreciate the staff and everything you do. Okay, then I am ready to hear and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Phyllis.
Phyllis has moved. Do I hear a second?
Second, Luann.
Luann has seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. And hearing no nos, then the majority has voted in the affirmative. So this meeting is adjourned. I wish to wish everyone a very happy holiday and a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for attending the meeting today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Holiday.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, let's get this camera.